Impact on Your Health is sponsored by Dennis J. Courtney, M.D., Director of the Courtney Medical Group, located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray, Pennsylvania. For more information or to make an appointment, call 724-942-3002. That's 724-942-3002 for Dennis J. Courtney, M.D.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to AIM Impact on Your Health. AIM Impact on Your Health, where every day our goal is to have you learn at least one thing to help you live better and longer. AIM Impact on Your Health, heard every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney, and I'm with you each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9. AIM Impact on Your Health, where each day you'll find current medical news, knowledgeable guests, fascinating health topics, and where we do encourage you to call in to join in. Today, well, it is Friday, and as we normally like to do around here, we call this the Get 'em Up Out of Town version of the show. Post-holiday weekend, yes. A little chillier this weekend, but it's still the weekend you're going to enjoy it. I think weather-wise we are supposed to be just fine, just fantastic. Whatever is on your mind is okay with me today. As usual, when we have a Get 'em Up Out of Town version, we open up the lines to you if you've got a mind to get it off your chest. Oh, the pressure will kill you. It's building up back there. Get it off your chest. If it's in the form of a question or a comment, doesn't matter at all. Give us a call at 412-825-6262. That's 412-825-6262. I'll be listening for your knock on the door, and I'll let you in the store as soon as I can. I got a number of things to discuss with you. A couple of things. Let's just go to some calendar issues. The calendar is filling up since I last spoke with you. We've got, guess who's coming to town? Now, many of you probably already know it. I didn't, but here we go again, a good friend of ours is coming to Pittsburgh, and he's been here before, certainly been on my radio show before. His name is Dr. Cass Ingram. Cass is coming to town. He's going to be the featured speaker up at the Freedom of Choice and Cancer Therapy Group in Butler. He's going to be their featured guest on the 23rd. I'm presuming, I don't have a flyer in front of me, but geez, if I remember correctly, that's 7 p.m. at the Days Inn just south of Butler on the right there. Cass Ingram will be on their agenda to speak with you on the 23rd. And as usual, we'll try to get him in here. We have no way of contacting him. I have been trying. I told you I've been trying to get a hold of Cass since he emerged from the woods. And he evidently emerged from the woods and got right on an airplane and went over to Europe, because that's where I'm told he is. So he remains incommunicado. I promise you I will speak to him soon for two reasons. One, we're going to bring him back and still make him, we're going to hold him to his commitment of doing that show on natural cures for blood pressure problems. But then we're trying to get him here to be with us, on the 20th of this month. That's the same week he's coming to town. So in keeping with a commitment I make to the Freedom of Choice and Cancer Therapy Group, we'll try to have their featured speaker, my featured guest, the same week. And so that is what's shaping up. And that same week, by the way, just as I put a little blurb down here, first mentioned to us by Faith, talking about the Mother Earth, seminar, Mother Earth Convention. The Mother Earth group is going to be up at Seven Springs that weekend, and that's going to be the Saturday and Sunday combination. Just go to their website, motherearth.com, and you'll be able to find about all the festivities, vendors, seminars. I've checked it out, and believe you me, it does sound like quite a voluminous schedule. A lot of interesting nitty-gritty things going to be happening there, so I mentioned that to you now. I flipped the page. Dr. Dr. Hannah Solomon, going to be coming back here in October. She's the gal who we spoke to just a couple of weeks ago, who has the unique program of nasal washings. Her company, nasopure.com. A lot of even my patients have ordered that they tell me that it is being very helpful to them. We'll re-hit this issue with Dr. Hana, as she likes to be called. That'll be in October 4th. Just saw our girls here talking about the thermography girls. You know, we're going into that month. I say in the month of October, I get red with rage when the fountain turns pink. And everyone knows that when that fountain turns pink on October 1st, that signals the beginning of a month of what has been known as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Last year's festivities, boy, I remember a truck driver, don't you remember, calling us up during the show because they said, geez, I wonder if the fountain turned pink this morning. This was on October 1st of 2009, and a very gentlemanly truck driver called me up and called us up on the show to say, guess what? It's pink down here. And that signaled the beginning, and of course, that was a really interesting month where all the mammogram bludgeoning occurred, trying to really get women to think about their breast health and huddling them in to get mammograms. And then 30 days afterwards, we found out via federal study that you didn't need mammograms at all. So anyway, plenty on that subject. I mention it now because our thermography girls were in here yesterday from Three Rivers Thermography, and they were doing thermograms here. They're going to be back in the office here on, I believe, on the 12th. We're going to have them on the show on the 11th, right smack dab in the middle of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So we'll be talking a lot about that. And finally, although I don't have much in the way of information to share with you, the up-and-coming guest for the month of October at the Freedom of Choice and Cancer Therapy Group is one gentleman. His name is Bill Henderson. He has written a couple of books, I understand, on cancer therapies, and we'll get him on the show too, and he will be coming to town on the 23rd, and that's about the way that things shape up. Hope you enjoyed, and I sure did, and did you not also, Beth Clay on our show of Wednesday when she's finding out how she has taken all that energy and all that knowledge, and boy, she acquired a lot of knowledge while working with Congressman Dan Burton from Indiana when he chaired the Committee on Government Reform. She said 29 different meetings, meetings, they were hearings, congressional hearings on a whole host of issues were undertaken by Dan Burton, and she was the individual who organized the majority of them, certainly was the go-to person when it came to the research, and was literally Dan Burton's right-hand gal throughout all of that era. Well, she has a new job now, doesn't she? She's a lobbyist herself. You know, lobbyists have this negative connotation, and why do I feel good about knowing that Beth Clay is a lobbyist? Because normally the term lobbyist doesn't resonate well with myself and many of you. You'll be happy to hear that Beth Clay is on the job and working a different side of the street than we're normally used to seeing with respect to lobbyists. Anyway, we talked off air after we spent a lovely 45 minutes on Wednesday. We talked off air. We promised we'll get back with one another right after the elections, and she will bring us words of wisdom of how things are going to transpire the remainder of this Congress, and then as they move into the new Congress at the turn of the year, she'll probably have lots to tell us about that. So I don't have a date for her yet, but we've arranged, and tentatively we're going to hook up right after the elections on November 2nd. New category in the news. New category of medical errors. Got to talk about one I hadn't really given much credence to. Certainly talked a lot about medical errors here on the show. This one on medical tubing errors. You see what I mean? And when brought to my attention, boy, I can see where it is a large problem. Then I want to share with you some of the interesting goings-on at a family reunion I went to about 1 week ago, just about 1 week ago, and it was in honor of an aunt of mine 99 years old. And because they said, you know what, let's not wait till she turns 100. She may not be here. So let's have a birthday party for Aunt Audrey, who's 99. And all week I was really concerned about, wonder how she's doing. I hadn't seen her in such a long time, and is she going to remember me? And is she frail? Is she safe? And all these things were I was thinking about her as the day approached. Well, wouldn't you know it? Let's just put it in the short way. She's doing fine, folks. She is just so tight, and she's alert, and she's communicative. She led the whole thing. It was the rest of the family. It was falling apart, and I'll share with you some of the things that I got into during that little family gathering of a week ago. And it was like in the office or being on the radio show for the entire afternoon. It was just one medical issue after another. Not from the aunt. 99, she's doing great. Everybody else, boy, they seem to have their share of issues. The very same issues that we keep bringing up over and over here. And I'll share that with you too. So let's do this much. Let's take a short break. When we come back, I want to talk a bit about this new category of medical errors. As if there weren't enough already, there's another group of them, medical tubing errors. We'll talk about them when we return. I'll be listening for your knock on the door, 412-825-6262. If you have a mind to, give us a ring. We'll be right back.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. Have you become confused about how best to manage your health? It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough that no matter how seriously you follow the instruction, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you were looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, MD, is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Have you been to the doctor lately? Was fatigue top of your complaint list? Even if your doctor asks you what you eat, the recommended 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day is a dream in your busy schedule. What if you learned of a product 5 years in the formulation that delivers 5 servings of fruits and minerals in just 1 ounce? That's right, it's Fruit of the Spirit. The blessings of Fruit of the Spirit are now formulated into a delicious whole fruit puree product rich in antioxidants and minerals. Your health is more than just a test result. It's a balance of physical, spiritual, and emotional factors. You work regularly to strengthen your faith. Let Fruit of the Spirit help cover your nutritional needs in a convenient and cost-effective ounce a day. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit of the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. Fruit of the Spirit, 5 servings of fruits and minerals with no added sugars. That's 1-800-442-3793 for your good health. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to An Impact on Your Health here on this Friday version, this Get 'em Up, Out of Town version of the show that we really enjoy doing each and every week when we have the opportunity to allow you, if you got a mind to give us a call and, well, let's find out what's on your mind about anything medical at all, whether that's in the form of a question or a comment. That really doesn't matter. Just give us a call at 412-825-6262, and we'll listen for that knock on the door and let you on in and let you get it off your chest. As I say, relieve that pressure. It's building up back there, and you just got to get rid of that thing, or you'll have to carry it around all weekend. 412-825-6262. Now, while I'm listening for your knock on the door, bring to you another interesting little tidbit here. I hadn't thought of this. Certainly have brought a message of this ominous issue of medical errors that geez, as far back as I can remember discussing the issue, and I remember the great Dr. Carreau talking about these medical errors, and it's just something that I think 96,000 deaths a year. And that was just on medication errors. But this is a category well understood, at least I thought, because I was thinking about when it came to medical errors, things like getting the wrong med, or getting maybe the right med in the wrong dose, or how about the category, and boy, we've hit this issue too, nosocomial infections, that big word. All that means is you go in the hospital, you aren't infected, but you get infected while you're there. And so I used to say, guess I still do, that the patient walked in vertical and was carried out horizontal, if you know what I mean, based on a overwhelming, massive antibiotic-resistant infection. And we have, in numerous occasions, talked about those nosocomial infections over many, many years. And every time another incident comes up, it seems to make its way onto the airways. But there's a category of errors that I wasn't thinking of, but now brought to my attention. I can certainly appreciate it. And this is a category of medical errors that has to do with medical tubing errors. Now, I will tell you, as an anesthesiologist, and many of you know, that's my background, that's my training, patients brought to the operating room, and certainly the more critical they are, the more just lines, period. Multiple IV lines. You've seen the picture on television and in real life, pushing the bed down the hallway with just a trail of IV poles and seemingly endless numbers of IV lines plugged into various ports throughout this patient's body, always receiving multiple medications through them. And in the operating room, when we would have a patient of this type arrive, one of the first arduous things that we'd have to work through is making sure that we isolated all the IV lines and know exactly which one went to where, what was in the bags. And so this is part and parcel of what an anesthesiologist and nurse anesthetist does in an OR environment. What I had been not really paying much attention to, and as it turns out, boy, it certainly needed some attention paid to it, are things like this. How about this? Got a case of the tubing that is used to inflate blood pressure cuffs. Now, there are automatic blood pressure cuffs out there. Many of you own them. You have these devices at home. Well, there are plenty of these automatic blood pressure cuffs found within the hospital environment also. Go under many names. One named Dynamap, and those are just brand names. But what I didn't quite appreciate, but now can certainly easily envision, is that the tubing used to pump up the cuff can be placed on other ports and other connectors that actually fed this air into IV lines. And so there have been, and until there's something that won't allow them to be interchangeably plugged in, there have been deaths that have occurred from putting a blood pressure cuff line onto IV tubing lines, pumping a tremendous amount of air into a venous port, leading to an air embolism and certainly sudden death. That one threw me for a loop. How about this one? Oxygen tubing. You know the nasal oxygen and the face mask oxygen tubing can also and has also been connected to IV lines. Same problem. Same result. Lethality ensues. How about this one? IV fluids can be connected to the oxygen lines. And so people who shouldn't be inhaling these fluids are having vast amounts of fluids. They're in an obtunded state. They don't, if they were awake and alert, they wouldn't be able to tolerate it. But if they're obtunded, there have been multiple cases now recorded where patients literally, I guess the word suffocation, because of IV tubing or medical tubing in general. the interchangeability and interconnectability of IV tubing with blood pressure tubing, with feeding tubing. All this stuff has led to some tragic occurrences. And this was brought up by none other than Joe Mercola once again, bringing to light some pretty scary things. There's a case, 2006, a nurse, her name's Julie Thao, Thao. She administers spinal anesthetic. There's a way that you administer a spinal anesthetic and have a continuous IV infusion. Well, she administers that infusion. It's supposed to be going into the epidural space, the spinal canal space, into an IV, and a 16-year-old by the name of Jasmine Grant dies as a result of it, because this anesthetic is placed into an IV line due to interconnectability that just shouldn't be. The final case that I hear, it's one with about a 24-year-old named Robin Rogers. She's hospitalized at 35 weeks of pregnancy because of vomiting and weight loss, and she and her unborn baby died because they had administered her feeding tube, which she went in there desperately needing because she was vomiting, probably having emesis due to pregnancy. It's a common problem. Anyway, that feeding tube gets plugged into an IV line, and that very viscous and highly hypertonic solution doesn't take long before death ensues. One case after another after another. A new category of medical errors that you have to be concerned with, easily prevented if we finally place the connectors, only able to be connected to specially designed receptacles that will not allow for the interchangeability. There's a problem right now. You literally can take a device, a connector, and literally any tubing hooks up to any other tubing, or at least in these cases, that's what happened. I'm hoping, and I have seen some evidence where the FDA has stepped in. The use of various devices and tubing now are not allowed to be interconnected. That if it is for a feeding tube, it can only be connected to the receptacle that goes to the feeding tube, and on and on and on and so forth. So I thank Joe Mercola for bringing up another scary area that allowed me to ponder it for a while. I pass that on to you, as I so oftentimes do, as if you didn't have to be worried about enough. The issue of medical errors certainly didn't need another category, but there is one. It's a gaping hole, and it needs to be filled. And let me know what you think about it. 412-825-6262. Why don't we do this? Seems like an ideal time for a break. I'm going to take a break right now. When I come back, I want to bring you to a little family gathering of mine. I'll also be listening for a knock on the door, 412-825-6262. But the 99-year-old aunt, she's doing fine. What other people weren't. You'll see what I mean in a minute. Be right back with more on the Family Reunion.
Want to help your family eat healthier? Instead of learning to disguise tofu in wondrous ways, how about some real nutritional power? If your family has the typical American palate for fries, pizza, and burgers, giving your family the blessing of good nutrition is a struggle. Fruit of the Spirit is the answer for your family's nutritional needs. Fruit of the Spirit is an all-natural, whole fruit puree made from fresh fruits native to the Holy Land with alkalizing minerals. Fruit of the Spirit was 5 years in the formulation, the work of a team of top nutritional experts with independent science to confirm its antioxidant power. 1 ounce a day provides the equivalent of 5 servings of fruits and minerals. Fruit of the Spirit is convenient, affordable, and delicious. Even your picky family will sing the praises of Fruit of the Spirit. Give your loved ones the blessing of good nutrition. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit of the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. That's 1-800-442-3793. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. Have you become confused about how best to manage your health? It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instruction, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, M.D. is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to AIM Impact on Your Health here in this Friday version of the show. Get 'em up out of town version, as we say. It's open phones for you if you want to make it so. 412-825-6262 is the number to get on in here with any problem that's on your mind, any question you want answered. If I don't know the answer, you know what? My listeners normally do. So we usually get your issue resolved one way or another pretty quick. While we're waiting for your knocks on the door, let me sort of bring you into a family gathering that about a week ago when, as I had said, we're having a birthday party for a 99-year-old aunt of mine, and it was troublesome to me. I didn't know what I was going to face. I hadn't seen her in so long, and I was just wondering how mentally intact is she going to be, and is she going to remember me, and geez, where is she living now, and is she safe? Well, let's just put this one to rest early. All of my concerns for my aunt were really unnecessary. My aunt of 99 is doing completely great. She is so sharp and mentally intact, and we always worry about that, in our elderly relatives. This one, she's clean as a whistle. But in my course of meeting family members who I hadn't seen in a long, other family members who I hadn't seen in a long time, it was pretty apparent to me that in a short period of time, the same issues that came up that afternoon, and in such vivid detail that I thought I'd share some of them with you, and let you know. Well, I guess in my case that no matter how effective you think you might be with getting a message out, that message hadn't really reached most of my family. Anyway. One of the first people to bring this entire issue to light about health and your health status came in the form of meeting once again a cousin of mine who I hadn't seen in a long time. He's now 68, and he looked wonderful. He works out every day, I'm told, and he is, at least his physical appearance is one of a picture of good health. And we started talking there, and pretty soon it got around to the fact that about medicines that he takes. And I don't know, I sort of automatically wear this thing on my sleeve where people want to tell me what they take. He certainly did, and he did it very proudly too. Let me know he was taking Lipitor. Well, the little flags go up in my mind. I know any statin drug, that flag may go up in many of the minds of the listeners. And so I just happened to mention, well, geez, what is your cholesterol level? You're on Lipitor. What is it? For which he replied, my cholesterol, and he said this proudly now, my cholesterol is 125. And I just stepped back a bit and said, my goodness gracious, this is dangerous for you. I think he was not prepared for the conversation that ensued, trying to explain to him, feeling wonderful as he does, looking as great as he is, why this Lipitor is probably ill-placed. It's not really, I asked him, well, what were you when you were put on the Lipitor? I mean, give me some of your numbers. Your doctor put you on this Lipitor, and it turns out, well, his cholesterol level was never really anything, maybe it was 175. I think I remember hearing him say. I almost forget the number because it was a completely healthy number. It was obvious to me that he should have never been put on the Lipitor for his cholesterol. So I said, okay, tell me about your LDL. Because I go, all right, there's got to be some redeeming feature here on why the doctor decided to put him on. And it turns out his LDL has always been, and certainly is now, below 100. And so it was apparent to me that this is one gentleman who should have never been placed on a statin drug, who is on one now, and I'm pretty sure it thinks that he was doing exactly what was in his best medical interest by lowering his cholesterol, when in fact the discussion that we had was that, my friend, my dear cousin, you need to increase your cholesterol immediately and get off that statin drug. This is the same fellow, by the way, who proudly said, look, I go to my cardiologist, and I've had all the tests, all my blood work is perfect. I even had, and it was surprising to me, that he had the most recent, the particle size test, the new test, the one that I call the 9th test, where they actually can tell you if you have small LDL, which is the dangerous form. He seemed to know all about it. He was so well read on this issue, yet he's reading the company line on this matter, and he, I believe, is deluded into thinking that he's pursuing the best that he can for himself medically by staying on Lipitor. I implored him, please check me out. Get to reading some other sources of information other than the company line, and you may find out that this 125 is not the Valhalla that you seek, and that you really do need to get that cholesterol raised for obvious reasons. And so that was the first stop of multiple other family members talking about the cholesterol story. Went around this table and other multiple tables asking, well, how do you lower your cholesterol? When should you consider taking a statin drug? For which I was able to answer, never, although I could appreciate why the doctors could want to actually place somebody on a statin drug if they had a severely elevated cholesterol level, or one that had an elevated LDL level. And so it was no surprise, it should be said, to find that in my own family, the very same things that we talk about here, where the medical profession has completely blown a gasket on this one. They've made cholesterol the culprit, and they've driven it down to a point where the doctor's feeling great about making this call, the patient's feeling great about it, but both of these are moving to medical disaster. And that was relative number one with a verse medical problem. Relative number two, turns out, lovely lady, in fact, my cousin's wife, who had some cholesterol issues. We discussed those, and we won't get into that because she had a questionable history about a familial hypocholesterolemia, which there are some extenuating circumstances that could allow a doctor to want to place her on a statin drug, even though there are other ways of doing this, which we discussed. But it was after many minutes and talking about that she happened to mention in passing, well, of course, she said, there's that, I go, other medicines that you take, and she goes, well, of course, there's that Synthroid that I've been taking, and I've been taking that for the last 20 years. And I went, oh my goodness gracious, Synthroid, let me ask you this. So I started asking questions about the symptoms, and she had them all, folks. The hair falling out, the extremely cold extremities, and the list goes on and on and on. And so she said, well, not only am I on Synthroid, but I've got 4 other family members, all women, and they're on Synthroid too. And so, wouldn't you know, as much as we've talked about thyroid disease, and this is a family that comes from Indiana, by the way. Indiana is still part of that goiter belt. You know, the goiter belt being Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio, Indiana, and Michigan, right around the rim of Lake Erie. And so they're well within the goiter belt and certainly having their thyroid issues. But every single one of them put on Synthroid, this dud, this thing that doesn't work at all. And I immediately recalled the 3 phrases that really signal thyroid doom. And they go like this. You've heard them before, but let me repeat them. The 3 phrases that signal thyroid doom. Number 1, I hear this over and over again. When I shake the hands of these women who have intolerance to cold, they're freezing all the time, wear sweaters in the middle of August, and their hands, they throw me an ice cube. You've heard me talk about this, shaking the hands of these ladies with very cold hands. And whenever you hear the phrase, cold hands, warm heart, you found another one, folks, because evidently when shaking hands with many individuals over the lifetime of somebody with thyroid disease, they're immediately, it's pointed out to them how cold their extremities are, and they've explained it away as saying, well, I may have cold hands, but I have a warm heart. Phrase number 2. You heard me mention this one too. When it comes to thyroid doom, my doctor thought I had a thyroid problem, but he checked my blood, and it turns out my thyroid's just fine. I don't have a problem at all. That signals another rather restrictive and confining statement when it comes to almost ensuring that you've got thyroid disease, because if your symptoms were enough to at least tip your doctor off to go ahead and get those blood tests, you probably, based on your symptoms alone, could have been diagnosed with having thyroid disease. But when the blood work has returned and it doesn't show itself to be abnormal, and I put that in quotation marks, then you're pronounced as having no thyroid problem at all, when one really needs to pay attention to the symptoms and not look at the blood work ever, and I don't usually do so. The third statement about expressing thyroid doom is one that I think my relative mentioned to me, which was, oh, I take Synthroid. I have thyroid disease, and I take Synthroid, and the explanation appears to be, well, if I take it, I'm doing the best I can, everything is all right, when in fact, Synthroid really doesn't appear to be able to do much. I think Synthroid, as in the case of this lovely relative of mine, 20 years taking this medication for a diagnosed problem. Now that means not only did she have the symptoms 20 years ago, her blood work had to reveal that she had an actual thyroid issue, because the doctor would have never placed her on Synthroid to begin with unless the lab work was so out of whack, so askew, that it was confirmed by laboratory analysis that she should be on a thyroid preparation. He happened to pick Synthroid. So we're talking about those people who are the most ill from their thyroid disease, would have the least, or would have the greatest amount of symptoms, and have blood work that confirmed it, placed on a dud drug. This thing called Synthroid turns out to be loved by all of my medical colleagues, and is the reason I have elaborated for why they appear to be enamored with it, are twofold. Number one, I say they never got a phone call from an irate patient talking about how they had a reaction or how they're having symptoms based on taking Synthroid. It's a dud. You feel just as bad while taking your Synthroid as you did before you ever started it, and consequently, you're not going to be calling your doctor to tell him or her how lousy you continue to feel since you've been on the Synthroid. It just is not in the fiber of a patient to do that. They only call if there's a problem, and there's nobody calling because there are no problems, because it's a dud. It just doesn't appear to work. The second reason why the preparation called Synthroid, which is synthetic T4, and it is the love child of the medical profession, and the second reason why it's such a sought-after and used drug is because besides not being called about it because you have a problem, the blood work actually starts to swing, giving the appearance that all is well. So essentially what you have happening in this case is a doctor who's feeling wonderful about treating you. He looks at the blood work before he started. It was askew. It was wrong. It showed conclusively that you had thyroid disease. He or she placed you on Synthroid in varying doses. It did nothing for you. You still have the same symptoms that you had before. But oddly enough, something dastardly occurs. The blood work starts to look and appear normal. And it actually swings. And so the doctor says, oh, yes, home run. Hit this one over the fence. This is absolutely corrected now. I'm feeling very good about placing this patient on Synthroid. May not put it in those terms, may not even mention the fact that the blood has normalized in terms of the levels and the values of TSH, T3, and T4. But in the deep down in his heart, the doctor's feeling wonderful and all full of himself. Yet a patient still has every single symptom that they had before they ever started. And this is not a good combination. Patient just keeps quiet. Patient knows no other way of feeling other than the way they feel. They say, well, my doctor put me on Synthroid. He says, I put him on Synthroid. The blood work has flipped. It looks okay now. And everybody walks down the road feeling good except the patient who felt lousy to begin with and still continues to feel lousy today. That's Synthroid, which in this particular family's case, 4 members of the family, 4 female members of the family. I didn't have a chance to talk to the other 3, but my guess is the same issues occurring symptom-wise haven't changed, and therefore the thing is a dud for them, just as it is and was for my relative. So what do you do here? Come on, you've heard me talk about it so much. Pick your basal body temperatures. I hopefully have Jennifer, her name is Jennifer, doing that right now. Hopefully she's had a number of opportunities to take her basal body temperature. We discussed her symptoms, which have never changed. If we can just show her where her basal body temperature remains askew, remains off, remains too low. And what should it be when you take your basal body temperature? Upon arising in the morning without having those feet hit the floor, checking your temperature and finding it in the normal range, which it rarely is, ladies, at least in my experience. The normal range is 97.8 to 98.2, and I get a feeling, I can tell most of you are not going to be in that range. It's just the way it's worked out after thousands of patients, literally, over these many years who have done that for me, taking their basal body temperatures. It's a rarity to find anything even approaching normal. And that's because we live in this goiter belt of ours, where iodine in the soils is absent. That's the way the rim around Lake Erie works. That's why we're famous. We're known all over the world as the goiter belt. And no matter where you may travel in the scientific world, if you mention the word goiter belt, they'll know exactly. Well, they may not say Pittsburgh, but they know exactly the geographic region that you come from, because goiters result when thyroids have to work overtime. And that's, in fact, what occurs because if you don't have any iodine in the soils, you can't iodize the thyroid hormone that you're making. And if you can't iodize it, it turns out that it will become a biological dud, meaning you may make thyroxine, but if you can't put iodine molecules on it, it can't have any biological activity. So that's why we have such a problem in this area, and that's why thyroid disease is just replete. It's everywhere, especially in our female population. That's the way it went. There are other medical issues, but we don't have to go beyond those two. It has turned out that my family has matched up to the rest of of the patient population that I've seen. Why should they have been any different? I don't know. It was just shocking to me. We'll see as time passes on whether or not I'm going to get this resolved with family members. They're so resolute. They're thinking they're doing the right things, and their doctors are encouraging them to continue it. And there he was, me, trying to go up against years' worth of thinking one way with the few minutes I had. Well, we'll find out, and I'll pass it on to you. Let's take a break. When we return, give us a call. How are you doing with your thyroid disease? What's your basal body temperature? Let's find out when we return. 412-825-6262. What's on your mind?
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. You become confused about how best to manage your health. It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instructions, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you were looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, MD, is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Have you been to the doctor lately? Was fatigue top of your complaint list? Even if your doctor asks you what you eat, the recommended 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day is a dream in your busy schedule. What if you learned of a product 5 years in the formulation that delivers 5 servings of fruits and minerals in just 1 ounce? That's right, it's Fruit of the Spirit. The blessings of Fruit of the Spirit are now formulated into a delicious whole fruit puree product rich in antioxidants and minerals. Your health is more than just a test result. It's a balance of physical, spiritual, and emotional factors. You work regularly to strengthen your faith. Let Fruit of the Spirit help cover your nutritional needs in a convenient and cost-effective ounce a day. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit of the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. Fruit of the Spirit, 5 servings of fruits and minerals with no added sugars. That's 1-800-442-3793 for your good health. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AM Impact on Your Health. Heard here on KHB 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney with you on this Friday version of the show, Get 'em Up Out of Town version of the show, allowing you to give us a call if you have any medical concerns on your mind, any issues you want to raise in the form of a question or a comment. The number 412-825-6262. We're waiting to see her. They knock on the door, and we'll let you in the store and let you get it off your chest. Interestingly enough, talking about that family gathering, one other member, not a direct family member, but I think this is the oddball here. I'm sure every single one of you could go to a family reunion just like I did and run into the very same kinds of people taking the same medicines, and so you could empathize with this is universal. There was no difference in my own family than it is by patient that I see in my office. But a little different twist here is that in this family gathering was an interesting member of family, not direct member of the family, but she is a breast surgeon. Well, I had an opportunity to speak to a breast surgeon. I've known her for a number of years, and so I was talking to her, trying to find out, where she stood on a lot of these issues. Of course, I had mentioned to her that right around the corner, we're going to be having that Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I'm sure that as a breast surgeon, this is something that she looks forward to every year because I'm guessing that the business of a breast surgeon increases in the month of October, simply because so many more numbers of of women end up getting mammography that normally don't think about it at the time. Anyway, I thought I'd ask her a question about thermograms. Hey, it was a great opportunity, wasn't it? I was met with what I think all of you are going to be met with. She did say that she was aware of a thermogram, which at least, hey, that was a plus, because I can't tell you how frequently patients of mine come in and say that when they mention that they get a thermogram, their doctors say to them, "What is a thermogram?" So to the extent that at least this surgeon, a breast surgeon, had heard of thermograms, it was a plus. Now, every bit of plus rapidly went downhill from there, because she just frankly said, you know, these thermograms are not, this is not as good as a mammogram. And I could see that she had her mind made up. I said, you know what, if I ever bring you on the show, I'm going to ask you that question right off the bat, and I'm going to allow you to tell me exactly why you felt that mammograms were so much better than thermograms, because, to be honest with you, I have a differing opinion. I got a lot of evidence to back it up, too. And so we need to have that discussion on my show over the airway and let the listeners listen to both of us and find out about how you feel and back it up with whatever you want to back it up with. So up and coming in days in the future, she claims she'll come on the radio show, and we'll have that chit-chat, that discussion you deserve to hear from a breast surgeon, because there may be some of you out there that actually would require that service, and if I can bring that to you and you can learn more about this area of medicine, you'll be the better for it, whether or not you're in favor of this kind of surgery or not. And my patients, by the way, are those group of people that oftentimes are not. I can't tell you how frequent it is that a suspicious lesion will come up, and the very next step in the medical protocol is, and more than likely should be, biopsy. But not my patient's mind, because they go, no, I don't want the biopsy, because I'm not having the surgery, because I'm not doing the surgery or the chemo or the radiotherapy, and that's the way it's going to be. And so with that in mind, we'll see how that show goes when it's up and coming. Anyway, yeah, you can have somebody on cholesterol in your family. You can have somebody on Synthroid, not getting much benefit, but it's a rare one to have a thoracic or breast surgeon that you can have a chit-chat with on your family reunion. And so I took the opportunity to do just that. Hey, we have a knock on the door. Come on, the store. Hello, welcome aboard. What's on your mind?
Good morning, Dr. Courtney.
Hi.
I'm surprised that your phone isn't, the phones aren't ringing off the hook this morning. I guess everybody is sleeping in today. I wanted to ask you something that came across a prior show that you had, and I didn't have the opportunity to call in. And it was back to the external counter pulsation.
Oh, yeah.
And then you had mentioned, of course, thermography. And I thought, do you know of any studies out there that show that post-treatment with external pulsation, could you document with thermography the improvement in vascularity?
I know of no studies, and I'm pretty much, I think, safe in responding rather quickly to this. In thermograms, where we're looking at, there's two things you look at in a thermogram. One is dissymmetry, as well as heat signature. But if one is ever going to be doing something like ECP and promoting vasculature anywhere, that increase is going to be a symmetrical one. Do you understand?
I understand that.
So being symmetrical, it's not going to register as a heat signature that is away and far and askew from the heat signature on the opposite side of the body. Because
the only thing I was thinking about, could you normalize the test? Say, take one prior to counter pulsation and get a baseline, and then post-treatment take another one. And even though there would be symmetry in both, there should be a change in vascular.
And the answer is absolutely yes. Yeah, because if you have, I'm thinking of cold extremities right now, okay?
Right.
One of the big reasons why people do ECP is because they have diabetic issue, peripheral neuropathy, lack of a blood supply to the distal extremities, especially the feet. And when they get a thermogram done pre-anything, that is as cold can be. When you do ECP, this thing will light up symmetrical, absolutely, and is easily shown that you benefited because you have increased blood supply.
Well, sure. You kind of answered my question right there about showing in the feet. That's wonderful.
Oh, it is so visible, and besides that too, besides you seeing it objectively, which it's nice to see, the patient's telling you things like, my feet, I finally have my feet. I'm able to feel my toes. I can walk, and I have no limit to the distance that I walk. I don't have to wear socks at night. All these things that have been things that could be said if they never had the thermogram, but it is visible and knowable and objectively able to be determined through the use of a thermogram. So it was a good question, and I'd like to see people get a pre and a post. It's just they usually don't.
Yeah, okay. Well, I do know, I heard the ladies talking that they run baselines on people. So I guess, everybody could go in and have it.
They could have that done. That is correct.
Yeah. This is an anecdote that I'll pass on to your listeners, and we have talked about chocolates before, at least I have with you. And I will tell you, in my own experience now, I've been doing for 2 years, I've been doing at least 50 grams a day of cocaine, which is the powder. But I will tell you, last winter, I spent almost all last winter, which was a pretty challenging winter, outdoors. And I get cold feet. I always did.
All right, tell you what.
Honey. But I will tell you, this may be anecdotal, but
did better. You did better.
My feet circulate so good, I can actually go barefoot in the snow now.
Wow.
Not for a real long time.
All right.
So I think there's something vast.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We're going to run. Thank you so much for giving us a call. Bye now, everybody. See you on Monday. Have a great weekend.
AM Impact on Your Health is sponsored by Dennis J. Courtney, MD, Director of the Courtney Medical Group, located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray, Pennsylvania. For more information or to make an appointment, call 724-942-3002. That's 724-942-3002.